After my father's death, I went back to my childhood home. I hadn't been there in over a decade. The place felt strange, lost in the shadows of memories. Everything was faded. The yard was a jungle of weeds. A heavy stillness hung in the air. I had never forgotten that feeling. On my first night, I saw the curtains next door flicker. I told myself it was nothing, maybe just a trick of the light. I decided to ignore it and went to bed. In the following days, noises disturbed my peace. I heard faint thumps and whispers echoing through the walls. Each sound made my heart race. I saw my neighbors peering through their windows, 3 families over a few days. Always one at a time. They looked worn and tired, like they hadn't slept properly. Their faces seemed heavy with something I couldn't understand. I felt a chill each time I caught a glimpse of them. I tried to dismiss the weirdness, even as I ventured outside. I gathered old leaves and debris from the yard. Then I heard it again, the soft voices whispering from the house itself. My blood ran cold. I turned to the adjacent house. One neighbor was peeking through the curtain, his eyes cold and unblinking. I walked toward the fence, trying to act normal. "Hey," I called. Silence lingered. Just a heavy quiet. I felt the rough wood of the fence under my fingers. My heart pounded in my chest. That night, I couldn't sleep. Darkness wrapped around the house like a blanket. I heard the whispers again. My breath quickened. I glanced toward the window. Outside, trees loomed like shadows. The flickering light from my neighbor's house caught my eye again, just like the first night. The next evening, I was outside when I saw one neighbor standing by the fence, just staring. I felt a wave of cold wash over me. "Are you okay?" I asked. No response. He stood still, just looking back at me. I felt uneasy, like something was not right. Then he said something, but I couldn't hear. I leaned in closer, only to realize he wasn't speaking. He was just staring. I felt my skin crawl. Suddenly, he turned away, walking back into his house. The curtains fluttered behind him. I felt a knot in my stomach. It was like something dark was creeping into my thoughts. As I tried to shake it off, I heard a soft voice say, "Help us." I spun around. No one was there, just the empty yard and the silence of the night. That chill wrapped around me again. I didn't understand what was happening. My mind raced with questions. I wanted to leave, but felt trapped. The flickering lights and whispering shadows haunted my every step. I wanted to dismiss the fear, but it gripped me tightly. I found myself staring into the darkness, wondering what I'd discover next. The next morning, I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling. Had half a mind to pack my bags and leave, but something kept me rooted in place. Maybe it was nostalgia, or maybe it was the need to understand whatever was happening. I stared out the kitchen window, hoping to catch a glimpse of the neighbors again, maybe find someone who would explain all of this. I decided to take a walk around the neighborhood. The air was thick with humidity, and the crumbling pavement felt familiar beneath my feet. As I approached the house next to mine, I spotted a woman sitting on her porch. Her hair was disheveled, and her eyes seemed to hold a depth of worry I couldn't understand. She was sipping tea, but it didn't seem comforting. I took a cautious step toward her. "Hi there," I called out, trying to sound cheerful. "How are you doing?" For a moment, she didn't respond. I noticed the way her fingers tightened around the cup. Finally, she looked up at me, and a flicker of recognition crossed her face. "Oh, it's you," she said, voice low and shaky. "The new one." "I'm just back for a bit. My father passed away," I said, my heart racing at the rawness of it. She nodded, as if she knew. "Things are different now." Her gaze shifted toward her house, like she was afraid of something lurking in the shadows. "You should be careful." "Careful of what?" I pressed, my curiosity piqued despite the growing dread. "I can't say more," she whispered. "Just listen to the whispers." Before I could respond, the sound of footsteps approached from inside her house. A teenager appeared, looking even more dazed than his mother. His eyes landed on me and then flitted away, as if he couldn't bear to meet anyone's gaze. He didn't speak, just hovered there, staring out into space. I took a step back, feeling more unsettled. "Is everything all right?" I asked, but they both seemed lost in their own worlds. Then I turned to leave, but as I walked away, I heard the woman mutter, "Help us," just as the voice had called to me the other night. I quickened my pace, the echoes of her voice following me down the street. I went back home, feeling the walls closing in. The whispers grew louder with each passing minute, pulling at my sanity. I couldn't tell if it was my imagination or something lurking just below the surface. As the evening approached, I decided to peek back outside. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the street. That's when I saw it. One of the neighbors standing in the middle of the road, facing my house. It was the same man from before, the one who didn't respond. He didn't move, just stared blankly at my doorstep. My pulse quickened. I felt compelled to go outside to confront him. But as I stepped onto the porch, everything went dark. The streetlights flickered off, the world enveloped in a swath of black. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I squinted into the dark, trying to discern shapes. Then I heard the whisper again, closer this time. "Help us." I froze, uncertainty flooding my mind. What were they trying to convey? I felt the weight of their plight pressing down on me. Did I dare to find out? I hesitated. The darkness felt thick enough to choke on. "Help us," the voice echoed again, almost as if it was moving through the shadows. I strained to listen, holding my breath. Was it just my imagination, or was someone or something trying to reach me? I turned back toward the house, my heart racing. I shouldn't have stepped outside, but my curiosity tangled with the fear that clawed at me. I took a cautious step back toward the door, ready to retreat, when I heard movement. A soft shuffle came from beside the porch. My eyes darted to where the sound had emerged. A figure was crouched low in the corner, barely visible. Panic flared in my chest. Was it the man from the road, or something worse? "Who's there?" I called, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound steady. No response, just the faint sound of breathing. I took another step back, unsure if I should run or confront whatever it was. Before I could decide, the figure straightened slowly. A face emerged from the shadows, pale, hollow cheeks, eyes wide and wild. It was the teenager I had seen earlier with the woman next door. "Help us," he whispered, his voice rasping. His gaze darted nervously around me, as if searching the dark for something I could not see. "You have to help us." My mind raced. "What do you mean?" I asked, already feeling the weight of dread settle over me again. He opened his mouth, but no words seemed to come out. Instead, he pointed toward his house, a sudden urgency flooding his features. "They're coming. We have to go inside before it's too late." Without waiting for an answer, he turned and darted towards his porch. I stumbled after him, heart thundering in my ears. "Wait, what's happening?" But I barely managed to keep pace. The boy was terrified, glancing back nervously as if he expected something to leap from the shadows. When we reached the door, he hesitated. A look of sheer panic crossed his face. "Not yet, I can't go in," he muttered, pressing his hands against his temples as if trying to block out some unseen pain. "Why not?" I asked, trying to understand. The evening air was thick with tension. "Because they're inside," he replied, voice barely above a whisper. "They're waiting." I felt frozen in place. The thought of whatever they were lurking just beyond the threshold made my legs feel heavy. I wanted to run, but then I remembered the woman's voice, her plea for help. Suddenly, The whisper came again, louder. "Help us." I shot a glance back at the street. It felt suffocating to be trapped between two threats, the darkness outside and the unknown lurking behind the door of the house. My instincts screamed at me to escape. Before I made a decision, I heard a creaking sound. The door behind the boy opened slightly, revealing a sliver of light and darkness looming behind it. "Come in," someone called from within, soft and inviting, yet eerie in its calmness. My pulse raced as uncertainty dawned. I had a choice to make. Do I step into the light, into the unknown, or do I flee, abandoning what may be the only opportunity to uncover the truth? My next move felt like it could change everything. The moment hung heavy in the air. I felt like I was teetering on the edge of a decision that could lead to either salvation or disaster. The teenage boy's eyes darted from the open door to me, then back to the shadows. Panic gripped me. I didn't know what to trust. "Please," he pleaded, desperation lacing his voice. "I can't stay out here. We can't let them get you too." The way he said "them" sent chills down my spine. My instincts screamed to run, yet the woman's voice echoed in my mind. She needed help. Was I really leaving her behind? Before I could respond, the creaking door swung open further, revealing an inviting warmth inside. But beyond that warmth, a shadow shifted. Something felt off. "Come in, there's no time." The call came again, this time tinged with a sense of urgency. Instinctively, I grabbed the boy's hand. "What's your name?" I asked, searching his terrified face. "Eli," he answered, his grip tightening as if I were going to let him go. "Eli, we need a plan. What do you expect me to do once we're inside?" His eyes widened, a flicker of dread passing through them. "You'll see. You'll understand everything if we go in." But the idea of stepping into that house felt like jumping into an abyss. Someone behind the door spoke again, their voice dripping with false reassurance. "It's safe, we promise." "Safe?" I echoed incredulously. "How can we trust that?" Eli's face contorted in fear. "You don't understand. They'll find us out here. Please, just come with me." The street behind me felt too silent. I had doubted Eli's words, but there was something worse lurking out there. I had to protect myself first. "Okay," I said finally, swallowing hard. "We go in, but I want answers." Eli nodded quickly, and together we stepped through the threshold into the hazy glow inside. The abrupt transition took my breath away. The house was cozy, but an unsettling heaviness loomed within the walls. The light flickered like a heartbeat, filling me with dread. "Where are they?" I asked, scanning the room. "Waiting," Eli replied, his voice barely a whisper. Suddenly, a creaking sound echoed from further within the house, heavy, almost deliberate. I turned to Eli, panic flooding my senses. "Who's back there?" Before I could get an answer, the light flickered more violently. A figure emerged from the shadowed hallway, uninviting and solid. "Stop where you are," the voice boomed, low and authoritative. I felt a rush of ice surge through me. Eli squeezed my hand, eyes wide, as we both stepped back instinctively. This wasn't the welcoming light I had hoped for. Then everything went dark. The flickering ceased, plunging us into an abyss. My heart raced. I strained to hear anything, to make sense of what was happening around us. "What's going on?" I yelled, adrenaline coursing through my veins. "Stay close," Eli urged, his voice shaking. But another voice broke through the darkness, taunting us. "You shouldn't have come here." My breath hitched in my throat. I could feel the weight of the unknown pressing in from all sides. Were we truly trapped? I had stepped into the unknown, and now I had no idea how it would end. I stumbled backward, trying to grasp what just happened. The darkness felt alive, as if it were wrapping around us, closing in. I could barely see Eli. His shadow was just a whisper in the blackness. "Eli!" I called out, my voice barely a sound against the oppressive quiet. "Where are you?" "I'm right here," he replied, panic edging his tone. "Just hold my hand." I found his grip again, feeling his fingers trembling against mine. "What do we do?" "I don't know. Just stay close. They'll come for us." The coldness of his words struck me like a blow. "Who's going to come?" I pressed, but Eli didn't answer. The silence that followed felt heavy, suffocating. Then I heard it, a soft rustling, almost like breath, coming from the shadows. My heart raced. I turned, scanning the room for any sign of movement. I wanted to run, but where could I go? "Eli, what's happening?" I whispered, my throat dry. He looked at me, his eyes wide with fear. "It's the voices. They can't find us if we stay quiet." Voices? I strained to listen, and there it was, a chorus of low murmurs, unintelligible and eerie. It seemed to come from all around us. Suddenly, a distant light flickered to life, illuminating the edges of the room, a feeble attempt to push back the darkness. My heart sank as I recognized the shape of a door slowly creaking open at the far end. The silhouettes of figures emerged, their faces obscured by shadows. "See, they're waiting," Eli whispered. "They want us to come to them." I shook my head. "We can't go there. We need to get out." But before I could react, Eli yanked me toward the opposite side of the room. "This way." He pulled me towards a small staircase that I hadn't noticed before. I hesitated, unsure if descending further into this murky abyss was the right path. But I didn't have time to ponder. Eli was already climbing down, almost dragging me along. The wooden steps creaked beneath. Us, echoing in the silence. As we reached the bottom, the strange light grew brighter, revealing a cramped room. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with dust-covered tomes that looked ancient. In the center stood an old table cluttered with strange objects. Candles, herbs, and glass jars filled with an assortment of murky liquids. What kind of place was this? "Is this a basement?" I asked, looking around. "I think so," Eli replied, his voice trembling. "But we can't stay here. They'll know where we are." "Who?" I pressed, desperation clawing at my insides. "Those who live in the dark," he answered, his eyes darting towards the stairs. "We need to hide." Before I could protest, the door to the room slammed shut with a force that shook the floor. I jumped back, my heart racing. "What now?" "Quick, behind the bookshelf," Eli urged, already moving. Without thinking, I followed him, pressing my back against the cold wood. The murmurs grew louder, rising in intensity. I could feel the faint vibration of footsteps above us. Just then, a sound cut through the chaos, an unexpected knock at the door we had just entered, as if someone had come down to check on us. My breath caught in my throat. "They're here," I hissed. Eli's expression was one of sheer panic. "Stay quiet." The murmurs stopped. A tense silence filled the room. Then the door creaked open again, and a figure stepped inside. I held my breath, my eyes wide with fear. Who was it? And more importantly, what did they want? The figure paused just inside the doorway, its shadow absorbing the weak light. A chill ran down my spine. I peeked from behind the bookshelf, trying to make sense of the shape. It was tall and cloaked in darkness, but what struck me most was the glint of something metallic. A knife? "Please, don't let them find us," Eli whispered, gripping my arm tightly. I could feel his heart racing against mine. The figure moved slowly, almost deliberately, as if savoring the dread it sparked in me. I wanted to scream, to run, but all I could do was hold my breath and hope we were invisible. Then it spoke, a voice low and gravelly. "I know you're here. You can't hide from the dark." The words sliced through the air like a blade, sending shivers down my spine. Eli's face was pale, his grip on me tightening even more. "What do we do?" I whispered back, my voice shakier than I intended. "We wait," he said, his eyes fixed on the figure. "We can't make a sound." The figure stepped forward again, approaching the table in the middle of the room. It picked up one of the glass jars, tilting it slightly. The contents sparkled in the dim light, a swirling mist that seemed to pulse with a life of its own. "Just go away," I thought desperately, but the words didn't leave my mouth. Time stretched as I watched, my heart pounding in sync with the distant murmurs outside the basement. The figure continued to examine the table, muttering to itself in a language I didn't understand. In that moment, a strange thought crossed my mind. What if this figure wasn't what I feared it to be? What if it was simply searching for something lost, just like us? But that hope was crushed as it turned back toward the door. "I can wait," it said, its voice echoing ominously. "The dark is patient." Eli's breathing quickened. "We need to move now," he urged. "If it waits, we're done for." I nodded, suddenly feeling the weight of my own fear. "Which way? The stairs?" "There must be another exit," he whispered, glancing around wildly. "Somewhere they won't see us." As the figure began to mutter again, I spotted a small, almost hidden door behind a dusty stack of books. "There!" I pointed, my heart pounding. Eli nodded, and without another word we crept towards it, careful not to make a sound. The figure was still distracted, but I didn't want to rely on its inattention for long. Just as we reached the door, a screech erupted from above. It sent every nerve in my body screaming, "Run!" "Go!" Eli urged, pushing me through the small door. I stumbled into darkness, pulling him behind me just as I heard the sound of footsteps racing down the stairs. Then everything went dark. The door slammed shut behind us, and I felt a weight pressing against my chest. I was disoriented in the pitch blackness, but I could still hear Eli's frantic breathing beside me. "Eli?" I whispered, calling out in the gloom. "I'm here," he replied, but the fear in his voice was evident. "What do we do now?" Before I could answer, a soft flicker of light began to emerge from the depths, illuminating the space around us. I blinked in disbelief, realizing we weren't alone. Someone was waiting for us in this new darkness. The light grew stronger, revealing the outlines of twisted metal and strange contraptions scattered around the room. Eli stepped closer to me, his breath still shaky. The dim glow cast eerie shadows on the walls, dancing like ghosts summoned by the flickering light. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice echoing in the enclosed space. A figure stepped into the light. I squinted to make sense of the silhouette. It looked like a man, but there was something uncanny about him. He wore a thick, tattered coat that seemed to absorb the light around him. Dark hair hung in scraggly strands over his forehead, but the most unsettling part was the look in his eyes, deep set and wild, as if he had seen too much. "Don't be afraid," he said, though his voice was soft and unsettling, like the rustling of dry leaves. "I mean you no harm." Eli didn't move. I felt his muscles tense beside me, and I fought the urge to step back. "What do you want?" I pressed, my voice wavering slightly. The man gestured around him, as if trying to convey the significance of the room. "This place holds secrets, just as you do. You're not the first to seek refuge here." "What are you talking about?" I asked, confused. He took a step closer, and a strange energy filled the air. "There are forces at play beyond your understanding. You need to know the truth about your past and your neighbors." My heart raced. The idea of my childhood home haunted me in ways I hadn't fully grasped. "What do you know about my neighbors?" I demanded.
Everything. He moved closer still, his whisper sharper now. Those who live beside you have ties to the other side. They are searching for something, and they won't stop until they find it. Eli shifted beside me, casting a worried glance at the man. "What are you saying? Are they dangerous?" The man nodded slowly. "Very. But you must also understand, the darkness here isn't just theirs, it's a part of you too." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. I had buried too many memories from that house. I could feel pieces of my past clawing their way back to the surface. "What do you know about my neighbors?" I demanded. "Everything." He moved closer still, his whisper sharper now. "Those who live beside you have ties to the other side. They are searching for something, and they won't stop until they find it." Eli shifted beside me, casting a worried glance at the man. "What are you saying? Are they dangerous?" The man nodded slowly. "Very. But you must also understand, the darkness here isn't just theirs, it's a part of you too." I felt a cold knot form in my stomach. I had buried too many memories from that house. I could feel pieces of my past clawing their way back to the surface. "Why should we trust you?" Eli's voice broke through my thoughts, grounded and challenging. "Because you don't have a choice," the man replied, stepping back and gesturing toward a large rusty door at the far end of the room. "The only way to survive is to confront what lurks behind it." I looked at Eli, and I could see the uncertainty in his eyes. "Do we really have to?" The man nodded solemnly. "Face your fears. Only then can you escape the darkness that started to creep into your lives." Taking a deep breath, I stepped towards the door, my heart pounding as dread swirled within me. With every second that passed, the figure's words echoed in my mind. Those neighbors, those memories, they were all connected, and whatever was behind this door was waiting for us. "Are you ready?" I asked Eli, noticing the silver glint of his fear. His gaze hardened. "No, but let's find out what it is." With that, we moved together towards the door, ready to confront whatever awaited us on the other side. The moment of truth approached, but as I reached for the handle, a sudden rumble shook the ground beneath us. Then I froze. The room darkened, swallowed by an unnatural shadow. "Not yet," a new voice boomed, vibrating through the walls. It chilled me to the bone. "What do you mean, not yet?" I whispered. The flickering light suddenly extinguished, and we were thrown into a deeper dark, held captive by the unseen presence now looming over us. The darkness pressed in around us, thick and suffocating. I could barely see Eli beside me, but I could feel his body tense as panic gripped him. The voice that had interrupted us rumbled through. The dim space, carving fear deep into my bones. "Who are you?" I shouted, my voice echoing against the walls. Silence engulfed us. "What do you want?" "Nothing." The air felt charged, like a storm was brewing just out of reach. I strained my eyes, trying to discern any movement in the dark. The weight of the unknown was stifling. "Eli?" I said, turning slightly to hear him. His breath was quick and shallow, mirroring my own rising anxiety. "I don't like this," he whispered. His voice quivered. "Do we just wait?" And then, without warning, a flicker of light surged beneath the door we had been drawn to. It was faint at first, then stark, spilling across the floor like spilled ink. I could barely make out the shape of the door, but it thumped against the wall, as if inviting us in. "Should we go?" I asked, unsure if the light was a sign of hope or a trap. Yeah, we probably don't have a choice. Eli took a deep breath, and together we took a step toward that glowing doorway. As we approached, the light twisted into strange shapes, revealing blurred outlines that shifted like wraiths. I felt a strange pull toward it. The fear twisted in my gut, but alongside it was an overwhelming curiosity. Suddenly, an overwhelming force slammed against the door from the other side. I stumbled back, landing hard against the cold floor. Eli reached for me, his eyes wide with fright. The shadow loomed larger, and there was a sound, a low growl, almost like laughter. "Stop!" I shouted, though my resolve wavered in the face of whatever was trapped on the other side. "What do you want?" "Not yet, not yet." The voice echoed harshly, and I realized it belonged to the man we had seen earlier. His silhouette rose like a specter in the light, his wide eyes full of desperation. "You're not ready." A pulse of energy vibrated through the floor as the door rattled again. I felt an urgent urge to flee, to get out of this place. "What the hell does that mean?" I demanded, trying to make sense of the chaos. Before he could respond, the growl grew louder, followed by a crack that sounded like thunder. "You have to unravel the threads first. The truth is woven into the very walls of your memories." Memories? My heartbeat thundered in my ears. The room began to warp, shadows twisting into images of my neighbors' faces. I recognized them, Emma and her father, who were always watching from their porch. Their eyes glinted like knives. "Unravel them," the man cried, "or risk everything." Risk what? I felt anger and confusion clash within me. What do you mean? But before I could piece together his warning, the door swung wide. Inside lay a blinding light, and I caught a glimpse of shadowy figures pointing and whispering my name. "Don't go in," Eli pleaded, yanking me back. "We need to leave."
Now! But I didn't know if we would escape if we turned back. The tension pulled, and something about that doorway felt like a lifeline, a chance to unlock everything I had buried. As I fought to decide, the door trembled again, and I took one step forward. That moment stretched, and the light flickered. Just before I stepped through, I saw a figure emerge from the shadows, and my breath caught. It was me. The doppelganger grinned, and something deep inside told me I was staring at the darkness within. I hesitated at the entrance, my feet rooted to the floor. The sight of my doppelganger, that twisted reflection of myself, sent chills crawling down my spine. It felt like I was staring at a version of me that had seen things I hadn't, or perhaps things I had been unwilling to face. "Go away!" I screamed, but my voice sounded small and desperate. Eli pulled me further back, his grip firm but trembling. "Let's just get out of here," he urged, his eyes darting around as if searching for an escape. But something inside me was drawn to that figure. The grin on my face, the face that mirrored my own, seemed to hold secrets I had buried long ago. "I can't leave," I whispered, torn between fear and an inexplicable need to understand. "Don't!" Eli shouted, though his voice wavered. "It's not you!" With a lurch, the light flickered and the figure stepped closer, its presence both captivating and terrifying. "You want to know the truth, don't you?" it beckoned. The voice was eerily soothing, masking an underlying malevolence that sent my heart racing. "Stay back," I warned, raising my hands as if I could ward off whatever dark force was building around us. "You've looked away for too long," it said, tilting its head mockingly. "You've let fear rule your memories." "What are you?" I gasped, feeling suddenly small in a world that was spiraling out of control. "Am I supposed to believe you're me?" The figure laughed softly, a sound that echoed unnervingly in the dark. "You are what you fear most,
and you have only scratched the surface." For a fleeting moment, I thought I saw the depths of my worries reflected in its eyes. Failure, abandonment, and old regrets I thought I had buried. "Eli, we've got to go," I shouted again, yanking my arm back from the invisible pull of the light. But Eli was frozen, caught in the hypnotic glow. "Eli, please," I struggled to tug him away. "You have to snap out of it." And then, everything changed. The door slammed shut with a deafening thud, and the ground beneath us trembled. The room shuddered as shadows spilled from the corners like ink flooding a page. Shapes formed, twisting and distorting into anguished faces I recognized, neighbors I'd known all my life. "Why are they here?" asked, his voice barely a whisper, filled with raw terror. "They're part of it," I said, panic seeping.
"They're part of the memories that need to be unraveled." "Unravel what?" Eli shouted, panic rising in his voice. Before I could respond, the specter of myself took a step forward, its grin widening. "Do you see now? You can't escape the past." With every heartbeat, the tension escalated. The shadows climbed the walls, pulling me toward them, while the specter seemed to draw energy from my fear. "You must decide, or be swallowed whole." I realized then that something had awakened inside me, an urgency to confront these memories. This wasn't just about the past, it was about reclaiming my future. "I can't turn back now," I shouted, adrenaline surging through me. "Then see it all," my doppelganger hissed, eyes blazing with dark knowledge. That's when it hit me. I didn't just need to unravel my memories. I had to face whatever I had hidden, whatever truth awaited in the dark. As the shadows loomed larger and the faces of my past twisted into a cacophony of noise, I took a deep breath and stepped forward into the unknown, ready to confront what lay ahead. I stumbled forward, propelled by a mixture of dread and determination. The air was electric, charged with the weight of my memories and the looming threat of what surrounded me. Shadows twisted and writhed, and the faces that emerged were etched in my mind, haunted with their own suffering. I wanted to scream, to push them away, but something deep inside urged me to listen. "Face your fears," the doppelganger taunted, its grin widening as I drew closer. "You must confront what you have buried beneath denial." "I've buried nothing," I shouted, my voice strong despite the terror pooling in my chest. "I can't be defined by this darkness." With every step, I felt those memories rise. Scenes from my childhood home crept back uninvited. I saw my father's face in moments of disappointment, the shadows of the neighbors growing more pronounced in each recollection. Each bitter thought clawed at my heart, urging me to falter. "You run from the past, but it clings to you," whispered one of the faces. "We're all waiting." "No!" I shouted defiantly. "I won't let you drown me in regret." I drew on every ounce of courage, realizing I couldn't fight them. I had to embrace them. I thought of my lonely nights watching, of the lifeless eyes of my neighbors, and Eli's desperate plea for help. "Help us," echoed the chorus, filling the air with sorrow and yearning. "You know why we stay." "Then tell me," I demanded, my voice cracking against the wall of darkness. "What do you want from me?" Suddenly, they surged forward, swirling around me like a tempest. The air thickened, shrouding me in the weight of their grief. My heart raced, but I stood my ground. "Show me," I commanded, feeling the pull of their collective dread. Images exploded into each memory of the strange neighbors, glances exchanged, and whispered words backlit by the glow of a street lamp. It all came flooding back, not just as nostalgia, but an awakening. They were all part of a thread I had severed. "Help us escape," came the whisper again.
I gasped, realizing their cries echoed my own. "You need to understand. You hold the key." "I don't understand," I screamed, feeling my desperation morph into something tangible. "How do I release you?" "You must remember," the doppelganger echoed, its eyes glinting with something that felt painfully familiar. As I gazed upon the features of my past self, trapped in fear, shame, and regret, it dawned on me. The darkness was not only a reflection of my neighbors or this unsettling house. It was a mirror of my own indecision. My retreat from life had left them ensnared in their grief. My heart raced as I surged into the swirling mass. "You want the truth? Then I'll give it to you." With a scream that tore through the haze of shadows, I accepted each thread of memory, both my own and theirs. I allowed them to spiral around me, to encase me in their essence. The weight of their pain fused with mine, elevating it into a light that shattered the darkness. The shadows flinched and recoiled, shifting away from the brilliance I unleashed within. "You cannot hold us!" they cried, fear rippling in their cries. "I can!" I yelled back, fire igniting in my soul. "Together we can be free!" As I pushed forth the illumination from within, I felt Eli's hand squeeze mine, a tether to the living world holding me grounded. "What's happening?" he gasped, the glow flickering between us. "It's time to face our past together," I shouted, focusing the energy into a blinding brilliance that engulfed us all. The light burst forth, swallowing the darkness whole. Faces twisted in anguish shimmered and faded, unburdened by the shadows they had once borne. I felt the release, my body filled with a warmth I hadn't realized I longed for. The whispers broke into relief. But as quickly as the shadows dissipated, a stillness filled the air. A calm, unsettling quiet settled around us, leaving a lingering question. "What happened?" Eli whispered, hesitantly looking around as the world gradually returned to its ordinary form. The darkness that had threatened us praised, singing songs of the light reborn, but still echoing in the corners of my mind. I think we saved them," I replied, though uncertainty wrapped around my words. "But why does it feel incomplete?" A sudden jolt of cold air rushed in. The shadows retreated, but didn't vanish entirely. "Not yet," flickered in the air, a soft tug on my consciousness, reminding me that some binds could not sever immediately. In the moments that followed, as the echoes of the neighbors' cries faded into the distance, I looked beyond the doorway we had approached. The sky now held the golden hues
of dawn, but the question lingered. Had we liberated them, or merely set the stage for another aspect of darkness hidden beyond the horizon? I turned to Eli, the uncertainty mirrored in his eyes. "We survived, but I can't help but wonder. I think this is just the beginning," he said, a hint of unease lacing his voice. The wind whispered through the trees, ruffling the leaves overhead, sending a shiver down my spine. Some questions lingered, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the shadows were still watching, waiting to reclaim their hold. As we stepped back into the light of a new day, I knew I wouldn't forget. Whatever lay ahead, I was determined to keep confronting the darkness, together, embracing the unanswered questions while pushing forward.